To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arm against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to the consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's a respect that makes calamity of so long life.
Engage.
Hi guys, I haven't done a video in about 3 weeks now, but I'm finally getting back to it, and this is episode 10. It's actually one of my favorite episodes of the first season. It's called Hide and Q, and it's the first reappearance of Q after the original encounter at Farpoint. It starts out with the Enterprise is on their way to this, I think it's a mining colony, that has had an accident and they need medical help. So the Enterprise is on their way there to help them out whenever they get trapped in the same grid that Q had caught them in originally in Encounter at Farpoint. So Q appears on the bridge, and he tells them that the Q have become interested in humanity since their first encounter at Farpoint. So Q kind of approaches Picard, and Picard just completely rejects him. He says, "We're not interested in whatever it is you're offering us. If you have to interfere with us, wait until after we're done with this mission." And Q obviously doesn't want to play along with that, so he turns to Riker, who he's kind of become interested in since the first time they met at Farpoint. And he says, when Riker says we don't have time for these games, so Q gets all excited, and he says, okay, we're going to play a game. So he transports Riker, Tasha, Data, Geordi, and Worf, basically all of the bridge crew except for Picard. He transports them to this random planet. They're not sure where it is, if it's even real. And he tells them that they're going to play a game. If they survive, then he will grant their wildest dreams. And if they don't survive, then they'll be dead. Riker, he doesn't really want to go along with it. He doesn't really have a choice, though. So he kind of plays along with Q. And when Q disappears, they are on the planet for a little bit, and then they realize that they're being attacked by these, they call them vicious animal things. Basically what they are, they kind of look like wild boar, except they're in soldiers' uniforms from Napoleon era France. And they're starting to get attacked by those. They're closing in. Q appears and says, "Riker, you have to save them." And Riker says, "I don't know how." And Q tells Riker that he's given him the power of the Q. So Riker just does this, and he transports him back to the ship. And, back on the ship, they're trying to figure out where he went, but they decide that they should just continue to their mission since they're not going to be able to find him anyway. So Riker and Q kind of have this discussion, and Q tells Riker that he has given him the power of the Q, and he wants Riker to join the Q continuum. So Riker returns to the ship, and he kind of tells him it's kind of the timeline here. I kind of forget what it is, but what happens is Riker says he doesn't want the power, so Q transport everyone on the bridge, including now Wesley and Picard, to the planet. They're getting attacked. Right when they're being attacked, Worf, of course, runs off and tries to fight him. He gets bayoneted right in the gut. Wesley kind of freaks out, runs over. It's like, oh, Worf, oh no, he gets bayoneted right in the back. And then Riker is like, no, so he waves his hand, the vicious animal things disappear, he does it again, they reappear back on the ship. Picard realizes that Riker now has the power of Q, which he's kind of worried about since it could corrupt him. But they can't really do anything about it, so they continue on to the planet where there's this dead girl. Riker really wants to save her, but he promised Picard that he wouldn't use his power to do anything. So he can't bring the girl back to life. And when he gets back to the Enterprise, he's really mad. And this is kind of when things come to a head, because Riker gathers everyone on the bridge. He's become more and more kind of arrogant as it goes along, because now he basically is all-powerful. So he starts calling Picard by his first name. He starts being kind of rude and insubordinate. And Q reappears and says that he wants Riker to come with him. And Riker says, before I go, can I give my friends a gift? So Picard says, of course, I support this idea. So Riker offers, like, everyone on the bridge their wildest dream, and they all reject him. And through this, Riker kind of realizes that he's kind of been stupid with this whole thing. He can't control the power of the Q. He shouldn't have it. And then he tells Q no thanks. Picard tells Q to get off his ship, and the Q Continuum recalls Q because he failed to tempt a human to join them. It actually is, the plot, it's kind of straightforward, but it's like so much happens that it just takes a long time to explain. But that's basically the bare framework of it. Pretty much the entire plot, what I like about it, it just centers on Riker's kind of his struggle to accept, like, what is he going to do with these Q powers? Like, should he accept them? Should he not? Can he actually reject them? Because Picard tells him at one point, the more you use it, the less you'll be able to resist using it all the time. So he makes Riker promise not to use them, but Riker can't even do that because he's all powerful now. And like, if I had those powers, as much as I wouldn't want to, I would use them because it's just you're all powerful. Like, you have to do something with it. You can't just go on pretending that you're not. But what I like this episode because, sorry, alright, we're good. I like this episode because it does bring out this other side of Riker. It's something that we kind of saw in the last Outpost, which is, I think I mentioned that episode, all of their personalities kind of gets changed really weird. Like, Geordi became really snarky. Riker kind of became like the stoic badass, kind of. And they bring that up again in this one. Because I feel like Riker's character, it always has kind of this streak of kind of like a little bit of arrogance. He's not like insubordinate or anything, but a lot of time he does kind of have this streak of kind of arrogance to him. And once he gets these powers, that comes out a lot more. Because Picard points out that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And whenever Riker gets these, you can immediately tell a change, that he thinks he's better than everyone else. Because I'm imagining that if Picard had kind of agreed to play Q's game, and if Picard had gotten those powers instead, I'm kind of wondering what Picard's personality would have changed. This just popped in my head. It's a really bad comparison, but it reminded me of Lord of the Rings when Frodo offered him the ring, and Gandalf says, no, like, I would use it through a power to do good, but I would turn evil. I feel like that's what Picard would do. He would kind of, like Riker, Picard would want to use, like, the Q power to do good for humanity, but no human can handle that amount of power. I feel like Picard's transition would have gone slower, because Riker, like, he gets the power, just like that, he turns pretty much into a complete and utter douchebag. Like, there is no other word for it. Because he just does, because immediately he starts being kind of rude to Picard. Like, he's talking to Picard, and then immediately just turns around and leaves. He isn't dismissed, he doesn't say anything, he just leaves. And he calls him Jean-Luc at one point, and he's acting like he is in control of the Enterprise now, instead of just being the first officer. And I think that this is a thing that we kind of see in Riker's personality in different episodes as we go along. The episode further on, it's called Second Chances. It's where Riker meets a version of himself. You kind of see that friction between them where they are kind of vying for, like, dominance. And you see he does have this streak of kind of, like, he wants to be in control. He is kind of arrogant about it. He's not really, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, a good term for this, but I can't think of anything. He's kind of superior is, like, the only thing to say. And once he gets this power, you really see it. And I don't think that he's, like, a bad person. I just think that he has that part of his personality, and he has it under control most of the time. But he gets this power, and he can't control it anymore. But that really is the main part of this episode. It is just focused on his struggle. Because nothing else really happens. They are going to the colony to save the people. That takes up maybe 5 minutes in the episode. And then it's just back to Riker. And at the end scene, when Riker is offering to give them all gifts, like he gives Geordi his eyesight. Geordi's able to see for the first time. He makes Wesley age 10 years. He offers to make Data human, but Data rejects him. Like, Wesley actually did age, Geordi actually got the eyesight, and then they said, take it away. Data didn't even become human. And it's cool because like, it is kind of showing like what we, have the audience, have realized are their like great desires. Like maybe not Wesley growing up, maybe him just wanting to be taken seriously. But Geordi definitely wants to be able to see. Data wants to be human. And it's showing that like, we know that's what they wanted, and Riker thought that they would jump at the chance to get these things. It's like, it is your, like, say you had a chance to get your wildest dream. And that's what Riker's offering them. And what Geordi says, he pretty much sums up what they're all thinking. He says, I'd love to be able to see, but the price is just too high. And the price is pretty much losing Riker to the Q continuum, and him pretty much becoming a monster, which is what Q is, pretty much. That's pretty much it for that part. I do like, they bring it up again in this episode that the Q are interested in humanity because humanity has this capacity for growth and for change, and we need change to survive. And whenever they bring this up in Star Trek, they act like it's something really unique among like all of the races of like all the aliens that they meet. They act like humans are really the only ones who really need change this much. And I mean, obviously, I can't say anything about that since we're the only species that we know of. But I feel like they kind of run that into the ground, that humans are just so awesome and we're always changing and evolving. And that's what Q says is why the Q continuum are interested in us as a species, is because we keep evolving, and someday, you know, like thousands, millions, billions of years from now, we may evolve to the point of rivaling the Q. Or not, you know, rivaling them, but rivaling their power. Which is a really weird idea because, you know, Star Trek, technology has evolved, but humans are the same. And it's saying that in the future, humans may evolve beyond what we are now. Which I think is kind of cool, but again, it's kind of running that point into the ground. I'm trying to think of what else I liked about this episode. I like, Picard is, like, Q was kind of making fun of the fact that Picard is like so really, he's just, I'm trying to think of the word. He's very straightforward. He wasn't going to play Q's games. He wasn't going to let Q give him this power. He just completely rejected the notion. Q didn't really offer him the power, but he rejected the notion of having anything to do with Q, which is why Q moved to Riker. And Picard, he's just very, like, straightforward in this. Has this unwavering dedication. And Q acts like it's a flaw, like Picard just needs to lighten up. But I think that's what Q actually likes about Picard, because he comes back. Picard is, like, in future episodes when he comes back, Picard is the one that he really bonds with, and I think he really respects that quality of Picard. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier of what would have happened if Picard had gotten this power. And I feel like it wouldn't have changed him as much as it would Riker, because I feel like Picard is much more in control of his own self than Riker is. I think Riker is more of a show-off. Picard he's willing to do what he needs to do to get the job done. He's a good captain because he doesn't let other people's opinion affect him. Riker, I think, is more susceptible to that. He's more susceptible to wanting to please other people and wanting other people to think well of him, which is why he has kind of like that superior streak where he wants to beat other people. Again, it's just a change in their, like, difference in their personalities, which is what makes it a good show. That's about it for this episode. Really, this is one of my favorite episodes. I'm not sure why. Again, I think it goes back to I really like Riker. I've always liked his character. Not so much that it's so, I don't know, it's not really nuanced. I just think that the writers at different times, they take his character in different directions. Like this and The Last Outpost, he's just very like, I don't know, not really manly, but just, I don't know, like I said, arrogant. And then other episodes, you see different sides of his personality. And they do that for all the characters. They do a good job developing that. But I've always liked episodes that were focused around Riker. But I would definitely recommend watching this episode if you haven't already, or going back and watching it. Because it's probably like in my top 20 episodes. I don't actually have a list, which I should. I'm going to make a list of my favorite episodes. But go and watch this episode. And thank you for watching.